We chatted in the corridor following the game last Tuesday in Budapest. It was a very emotive evening. I did ask you what emotions were going through your mind at that time. You've had a week to reflect. You've done the post-mortem on the defeat. Are your thoughts pretty much the same as they were back then?
Yeah, they are. Look, you look back and you always see things that you're missing the game. I think it's only percentage-wise, it's 60, 70% that you see in the game. So there's 20, 30, 40% there that you might miss somewhere along the line. So it's always good look back and reflect. But yeah, I think even more pleasing was the way the lads conducted themselves. Really proud of that. Everyone worked right till the end. It's quite easy to chuck the towel in when you're getting beat early on. Obviously 3 goals in, 35 minutes. We've got another 60 minutes to play, but I thought we had some good spells. We had some good patterns. We had some good possession, and didn't create as much as what we'd like to. But looking back, still, the fine margins, we reflect a full year back, and we go away to Hacken, and we're getting beat 3-0 after half an hour, and we score a goal, and then we keep a clean sheet in the second half, and then you look at what happened. Jordan Williams hits the crossbar, it comes out, doesn't go in, and then we end up getting beat 5 instead of the 3-1, keep a clean sheet at the end of for the second half. So yeah, it's fine margins, but that's the huge fine margins when you're playing. It's it's fantastic clubs and against fantastic players like we played last Tuesday, because for me that's the all-round best football club I've been up against.
And as far as the post-match interviews were concerned, yourself, as always, and Danny Redmond, you've made him the club captain this season. And I think this is probably a statement as much as a question, but I think the way that he conducted himself following that defeat was typical of Danny Redmond, mature on the pitch and mature off it. And I guess, Craig, that's why you brought him in as captain, to bring that stability in those situations.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important. I think it's really important not to get too high, not to get too low, from all the way across the football club. It's so important because, we are a football club that win a lot more than we lose. But when we lose to a better team on the night, which they were, we've got to be respectful, and we've got to take it on the chin and accept that, and not look for excuses, and not be unprofessional. We've got to make sure that we've got a bit of grace about it, and we got beat off the better team on the night. They were the better team, and there was no bones about it. So but that's not to say that we haven't worked really hard this week to try and turn them tables and give them a tougher game as possible in the return leg back at Park Hall. But yeah, from that point of view, Dan's maturity, Danny Red, that's why you look at it, and nights like that, when the tough nights, the one people you need, you need people that have got a bit of grounding, people that have are not going to be emotional after the event, and that are going to be have a good perspective on it, positive and negative. Because yes, we got beat 5, but there's still lots of positives to take out of it.
Football is about being positive. It's about being confident. It's also about being realistic as well. Yeah. And we do go into that game tomorrow evening 5-0 down. At what level do you pitch expectations in terms of result? 6-0 victory to overturn that? Or are you being very realistic and saying, as you said after the game on Tuesday, look, we can perhaps edge that one tomorrow night?
Yeah, without a doubt, let's be realistic. We're not going to win the game 6-0, unless something, we know football, stranger things have happened. I'm not too sure if they have or not, but, that's but we're not going in. It's that game's gone. So forget that game. We'll concentrate on this as a single game. We might have lost the opportunity to get through, but let's be realistic. Like I said, just everything about the club, Ferencváros was just a level, that I've not seen in Europe before. And that's not just the players, that's the stadium, that's the staff, that's the supporters, that's the attitude they showed for the game, that's the application they showed for the game. Just everything about them, the facilities, the whole thing was just, it was a Premier League outfit. It was an English Premier League outfit. And, we all know how big the English Premier League is at this moment in time. So I couldn't pay them a bigger tribute than that. But we're here, we're at Park Hall. We've got a good record at Park Hall. We certainly want to go out with respect. And I think they showed a lot of respect by playing their strongest team last week. you know, and they don't make a substitute till the 82nd minute, you know, and it's already 5-0 at the point at that time. You know, 3-0 half time, arguably on their home ground, could have been game over, and they could have made 4 or 5 subs and give people games, but they didn't. They played the strongest team. They went with their strongest team. No doubt they'll travel with their strongest team again. So, you know, but on the flip side, we're taking it tomorrow as a one-off game. It's just a one-off game. It's a cup game. You know, there's not 2 legs to it anymore because we're 5-0 down. So tomorrow we want to get the best result and give the best performance we can for that one-off game. If that's a defeat, it's a defeat. If that's a draw, it's a draw. If we can win the game, it'll be unbelievable. But if we can nick something in a strong positive performance, for our confidence and moving into the next competition, and B, to try and get as many coefficiency points on the board for us as a club and for Wales in general.
And as far as the European competition stage is concerned, regardless of what happens tomorrow, we do have at least 2 more bites of the cherry.
Yeah.
And as you've already said there, Craig, performance will be important, result will be important, because then that will be a springboard to then, if the worst comes to the worst, which you've already alluded to, that, to go into the Europa Conference, the Europa League, full of confidence.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, and I've picked the same team for 3 games in a row, you know, and we've worked together for a long time, and I don't make a whole lot of changes, you know, if not needs to be. That's not to say I won't be making changes tomorrow night, because I think the squad we've got is exceptional. So we've got players on the bench there that probably think they should add more minutes than what they had, and they probably should have had more minutes what they had. So tomorrow's it's a one-off game. Like I said, it's a one-off game as in the team I'm going to choose. It's a one-off game as in the result, you know, and it's a one-off game. Can we get something positive out of the game? Forget going through, forget the first leg, etc. You know, we want to give a positive account of ourselves and keep that competition high in the team.
And when you consider the starting 11 for tomorrow, not only the changes, as you've said, with the game coming up next week, but also on Friday, we begin our domestic campaign. Will that, against Flint Town United, will that have a bearing at all on the team that you go for tomorrow?
Not really, you know, because you know me by now. You know that the next game is the most important one. So our next game is tomorrow night. It just coincides. It's a huge game against a huge football club. You know, and once that's put to bed, wherever way that finishes, you know, get the Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, then myself and the staff will be concentrating 100% on Flint Town here on Friday night. So we'll be giving them the due respect, you know, the respect they're due, should I say. And it won't be a case of, oh, well, you know, just get on with it. We'll take one game at a time. And tomorrow night is the most important game of our season because it's the next game. And once that's gone, Flint Town will be the most important game of our season. And that's the way we've been, you know, since certainly it's my attitude. You know, you never want to get above yourself or ahead of yourself because you get a bit on the backside. So now we'll be going at the game tomorrow. I'll pick the team I think is the best for that game tomorrow night, and then we'll go again on Friday, and we'll pick the same team, the team that I think is the best then as well. And then obviously after that, whatever competition we're in, we'll go the same then. It's obviously a quick turnover, isn't it? You know, if we do get beaten, knocked out, then it's either going to be Applewell or Petrokub from Moldova, and we'll be travelling away within 4 or 5 days of the turnover from Tuesday, if that's the case. So yeah, it's really busy period. You know, everyone's going to be needed, and yeah, there'll be plenty of opportunity on Tuesday and Friday for everyone to get good minutes.
And it was good to see Harrison Mackay in the squad last week in Budapest.
Yeah.
What's the general injury situation like overall?
Yeah, it's another 4 or 5 days on for Harrison. He's had a full week of training now. So, you know, I imagine the next, you know, what we'll speak to Phil today about what Harrison will be. He might be involved tomorrow night in some way, shape or form. Jordan Marshall back in. He'll be available for tomorrow night. We just thought it might be 2 or 3 days too early last week for Jordan. Where we were in the game, getting beaten, coming on, we didn't want to risk him, but he's had another 4 or 5 days training. Adrian Sizovic is back in training full. Matthew Olasunde is back in training full. So we've got you know 4 players there that are going to be back available and you know fit for Tuesday, Friday, and then the next round.
And finally, as far as the injuries are concerned, Ryan Astor's long-term injury from last season, how far down the road is he to perhaps training and being in contention?
Yeah, Ryan's been out on the pitch quite a bit. You know, it's always tough, isn't it? You know, you spend a lot of time in the gym when you're recovering from a injury like he has. But you know, he's doing really well. Had a conversation with him this morning. He's out on the pitch. He's up to 50%. So you know, it's only going to move forward from there. I'm not 100% sure when he's going to be to join in with the lads, with a bit of ball work, with a bit of maybe non-contact stuff. But he's in and around the lads, and he's getting closer every week. So which is brilliant for Ryan. And the positive thing is, touch wood, that everything's going to plan, and you know he's on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, to be back when we thought he would be. So it's really pleasing and really pleased for Ryan.